The rise of ACCA in India and actually across the world has increased tremendously over the last 10 years, but even more so over the last 5 years. And whether it's because the world wants to become more global, students from India want to go to other countries, or you want to stay in India and companies like the Big Four, the Big Six, they're all recruiting people from India as ACCAs, or it's something else. Is it because the exam structure is flexible? With all these reasons, the rise of ACCA is what I'm going to talk about in this video. So let me jump into the explanation of ACCA with something which I call my most sort of common story told, right? If you've seen my other videos, you might have seen it. If I've come to your college or if I've counseled you in person, you would have heard this story. But for all of y'all who don't know about it, right? This is a true story, right? Let's say there were two students, right? One's name is Yash and the other's name is Devanshi. Both are from the same kind of background, right? Same academic background. Yash, both are from Mumbai. Yash is from a college called HR. Devanshi is from a college called NM. Yash is from BCom. Devanshi is also studied BCom. Both are just about to graduate, so both are the same age. Now, both of them wanted to apply in one of the Big Four. For all of you guys who are not sure of what the Big Four is, the Big Four are PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, and EY. And there are the fifth and the sixth biggest companies called Grant Thornton and BDO. These big six are the top accounting and consulting firms in the world. And if you're a commerce student, most of you guys will want to start your career in one of these six companies. Right? Just as a fun fact on the side, if you have tech friends, they want to start their careers in something called the FANG, FAANG, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, or Google. So just like a tech student has his dream companies to work in as FANG, we as commerce students have the Big Four or the Big Six to work in. Coming back to the story. So Devanshi and Yash both went to PwC. Now think about it from PwC's perspective, right? PwC was looking for candidates in the transfer pricing department, which is international taxation. PwC looked at these two candidates and said, okay, both are the same age. HR and NM for PwC are the top colleges of Bombay, right? Both are BCom students. So for PwC, both of these candidates were almost the same. So they hired both of them. But Devanshi had studied ACCA in her 3 years in college. Right? So what happened? When they both got hired, Devanshi was considered 2 designations above Yash, which means Yash was hired at a position called an analyst, which is what all graduates get hired at, and Devanshi was hired at a position called an associate. Associate is what chartered accountants get hired in the company. Right? It would take Yash, on an average, 4 years to reach her designation. And on top of that, Devanshi's salary at that time was 3.5 times more than Yash's. Which means both of them have had the same life. By the age of 21, both have studied everything. Devanshi only put an extra effort in the last 3 years of ACCA. And when they launched their careers, she was ahead of him by 4 years or by a salary jump of 3.5 times. It is not possible that unless Yash does something dramatic, he will ever catch up to Devanshi, even though they started at the same level. That's the power, not of just ACCA, but of any professional qualification. Basically, any effort that we as students put in during the early phases of our life, we work extra, we study extra, that's the difference that happens. And now, no matter what happens, right, however much ever Yash gets promoted or he tries to grow, if Devanshi keeps up or maybe even performs better, the gap between them won't even remain the same. It's just going to widen. And that's what happens when people like you guys, like us, we'll end up studying something of this level along with our college. So now with that, let me get into the technical details of ACCA. The full form of ACCA is Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. I would suggest you think of it as Global CA. So what I mean? Global means, of course, that it's applicable across the world in countries like UK, Canada, Australia, Singapore, Dubai, and of course, India. I said it's Global CA. So by the CA term, what I mean is, if you are an ACCA and I'm a CA, we both will have the same kind of knowledge, the same kind of value in the market, the same kind of careers. There'll be tweaks, minor differences. Like for example, if you are an ACCA and I'm a CA, you will not be able to work in Indian taxation or I will not be able to work in international. But besides that, most of the work, right, especially in audit and consulting, we'll both be doing the same work. ACCA headquarters are based out of London, but they also have offices in India, in Bombay and Delhi. So that's what sort of the introduction of ACCA is. Let me tell you all about the eligibility of ACCA. If I have to put it in a simple way, as long as you've cleared your grade 10, you are eligible for ACCA. Now, there are many things on the internet, right, where it says that you have to have 65% in English and accounts from your 12th to be eligible for ACCA, and there's something called FIA, Foundation in Accountancy, etc., etc. My suggestion to you guys is I have a detailed video on ACCA's eligibility. Please view that video for the details. But for now, just remember, as long as you've given your grade 12, you are eligible. The higher advantage of ACCA with eligibility is if you're a graduate or you have started studying CA and are somewhere in the middle, you will most likely be eligible for certain exemptions. So just keep that in mind for the end of the video. Okay, this is the eligibility post grade 10. Next, let me talk about the exam structure. ACCA is divided into 13 exams, which is split into 3 levels: knowledge, skill, and professional. These 3 levels, like I said, combine a total of 13 exams. And on an average, the exam windows are, you give the exams every 3 months on average. Right? You can give 1 exam at a time, 2 exams at a time, all the way up to 4 exams at a time. The entire duration, on an average, again, I'm talking about averages, guys. Most students who start from paper 1 complete ACCA within 2.5 to 3 years. So based on your, speed, you should take 2.5 to 3 years as an average duration to complete your ACCA. When it comes to the passing rate, so what I mean by passing rate is, out of 10 students in a class, how many land up clearing the exam? Well, the global average in the world is 4 out of 10 people clear almost all exams. Okay? But at Zell, what happens with us is that we have a passing rate of approximately 75%. So that's between 7 to 8 students in a class of 10 land up clearing these exams. Then comes the pass mark, meaning in one paper, how much do you have to score to clear the exam? So in ACCA, as long as per paper you get 50 on 100, you are done with that paper. Last bit is the paper pattern. Is it MCQs? Is it computer based? So let me split it. First of all 13 papers of ACCA are all computer based exams. There's no writing. Second, the first level, the knowledge level, has only MCQs, right? So that means you have to sit on a computer, you have, just the entire exam is comprised of multiple choice questions. Basically, you have to clear these exams, get 50 or 100. The skill level is a split between MCQs, or what we call objective, and subjective exams. And the final professional level papers, it's completely subjective, meaning you have to type or solve the entire 100-mark exams. So this, guys, covers sort of the academic structure of ACCA. By the way, the exams are held every March, June, September, and December. And a fun fact over here, guys, on an average, every time there's an exam, there is some student of Zell, which earns a global rank. Because what happens is, take any one paper, right? There's a paper, let's say, on financial reporting, right? Or on financial management. Every single person on the planet, whoever is eligible for the exam, whoever appears for the exam, they all get ranked, they all get scored. And of course, there are some people who outrank the others based on the marks on 100. Every quarter, ACCA releases a global report for rank holders at an international level and a national level. So actually, it helped us attain what they call the platinum status, right? So ACCA as a body bestows upon these kind of statuses, right? So Zell is what we call a platinum partner. There is something called a gold partner. There's something called a silver partner. So platinum is of course the highest. And one of the reasons is because of a passing rate, because of the rank holders, and it gives you guys a boost, maybe in your CV, maybe in your self-confidence, if there is a rank to your name for any subject, right? So many of our faculty members are rank holders, even besides the students. It's more than just passing after a certain point of time. Let me come to the scope of ACCA, right? Scope as in the job aspect. Every student in India has this one question, or every parent rather, that job milega ki nahi? And the short answer is yes. The long answer is here. I'm going to split the scope of ACCA into 2 parts. One is the Indian aspect, one is the international aspect. In India, the kind of companies that hire ACCAs, first I already mentioned the big 4, right? PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, EY, then there is Grant Thornton, BDO. Besides this, there are so many companies, like for example, our students and faculties are currently working in companies like, okay, there's a company called Musk, which is a shipping company. There is Bank of America, there is BNB Paribas, there is JP Morgan, there is ICICI Securities. We have a lot of big and small companies as well spread across the country where people like these guys are. Some are working in small startups, some are working in investment banking, some are working in finance, some are working in accounting, some are working in their own dad's business, some have started their own business. So scope of ACCA in India is not a problem. If you do a professional job, right, in these big companies, what kind of profiles? In India, people land up working in statutory audit, internal audit, forensic audit, in accounting advisory, which is IFRS, in mergers and acquisitions, in valuations. It just goes on and on. I mean, it's reached a point where now there is no lack or dearth of profiles. Next is the salary package. Now, the salary package, of course, depends whether you've never done a job before, have you done any internships, or are you already an experienced individual candidate, right? But if you are an ACCA member, a member of ACCA means you have to complete your 13 papers of ACCA and you have to complete something called PER, Professional Experience Requirement. Again, I made a video on PER, you can check it out, but in short, you have to have your 3 years of what in CA we call articleship, or in ACCA we call it just internship, right, or work experience for the first 3 years. So again, our students who get placed, right, in their 3 years when they have to start, even if they have zero experience, you can still start with a monthly salary of approximately 30,000 rupees. Have completed your ACCA exams, become what we call a member, and then your salary package is equal to that of a chartered accountant in most of these companies, which means you get anywhere between 7 to 9 lakhs as a starting package. Of course, there are variations. There are people who actually earn more and less in their first job. That is going to be dependent on you, how much you worked before or during your papers, how have you cleared your exams, what's your age, what's your speed, how's the interview, what kind of companies you go for, etc., etc. But the average is around 7 to 9 lakhs. All right, now let me talk about international opportunities. I've had faculty members who've gone to countries like UK and Canada and settled down. I've had students who've gotten jobs in Dubai. I know people who have gotten from India, gotten jobs in Australia at 60,000 Australian dollars. Right. Of course, the salary depends on which country you go to, what's the economic condition of that country, etc. But not only can you talk to some people like the guys I'm talking about, right? I know people who are working in KPMG in India, a husband-wife duo, have now settled down in Canada. And those stories are unlimited. There's a website called ACCAcareers.com. By the ACCA official, you can just type in which city in the world you want to work with, and they'll show you a list of vacancies available. So the global network is really out there for you to exploit using ACCA. So guys, this is the scope of how advanced ACCA has come. You know, back then when we started, when I had started, barely anybody had known about it years ago. So that's the scope aspect of ACCA. Let me talk about the fee structure. So the fee structure is split into two parts. One is what you pay the ACCA body, and the other is what you would most likely pay for your training, for your study material, etc. The total fees, if you start from paper number 1, guys, over a period of 3 years on average, it would come to between 4.5 to 5 lakhs total. This includes the training fees, like I was mentioning, the study material, the registration, the exam fees, the subscription fees, etc., etc. If you are having certain exemptions, right, then obviously the duration of the course and the fees is going to be lesser. So first, let me talk about the body fees. The body fees comprises of registration one-time fee, the annual subscription fee, which becomes different once you become a member, and then there are something called exam fees. And of course, if you are entitled to exemptions, then there are exemption fees. And here and there, ACCA has a few amounts. Things like there is something called an ethics module, which you have to pay some £60 for, etc., etc. But to keep it simple, there's a list of fees that you pay to the body, and the total for all the fees that you pay to the body would come to between 1.5 to 2 lakhs total. Right? Coming to what you pay for the training, depending on where you take the training, what is the quality of the trainer, I think the training fees also ranges anywhere between 2.5 to 3 lakhs total, right? Including all aspects of study material and even for that matter GST, etc., etc. So the total fees for most of you guys will come between 4.5 to 5 lakhs total. All right. Lastly, the ACCA has a few things which all of you should know about. Once again, I'm not going to get into the details of this in this video because we made videos on all this, but you must know details about ACCA exemptions. You must know about the foundation and accountancy bit. You must know about the professional experience requirement, the PER. You must know about something called OBU, which is Oxford Brookes University affiliation of ACCA. And beyond that, anything you guys need help with, right? Whether ACCA is the right course for you, whether you're worried about the difficulty aspect or the fee structure or the scope, feel free to reach out. We're always there to help. Beyond this, if there's anything that you would like us to make a video on, please let us know in the comments. We've put a million videos on ACCA already, but we're happy to make more. Thank you.